Oh man, I'm picking up right where I left off, man. Make sure you get the drop from Prester John 47, man. Get the drop from 47 because I got cut off right in mid thought, man. I'm just gonna pick it up. Let's go, man. I'm with y'all. Let's go. We just talking the car yachts, man. The Katai, the Cathars, the Cathars, the Cathars. Medieval history of the Israelites. The Cathars. What happened to the Cathars? The same thing that happened to the Cathars-Katai. Remember, we got that when it comes to Marco Polo. We talk Cathay. We're just talking China. We're just talking Prester John. Yeah, man, we've been talking King George, and we connected this Georgie with Genghis Khan or Gurkhan. When we talk Cathay, according to Marco Polo, this is the name he gave China. So there ain't no separation between the Katai, Mongol, great ones under Prester John, and then they were, uprooted in the 13th century. Just like the Kingdom of Georgia. We're just talking China, because Katai, remember, Kara just means black people, black, Katai. Just know you're just talking Cathay. That's the name which Marco Polo gave China. Cathay is derived from Katai, Kitai. So who are these black Cathars? This is page 267 of this medieval empire of the Israelites by Robert Grisham, which was compiled according to the history of the Cathars, was compiled according to allusions in the writings of Christian authors. It's especially interesting. There are no other written sources. The original documents were burnt. Come on, man. So the entire history of the Cathars went down in flames, burnt by the Inquisition. They were lost, decayed. Generally, they disappeared. They just disappeared, huh? Just like the ho-ho gone, huh? Just like the ho-ho gone. Just like the Anasazi. Just like the Aztec and the Maya and the Toltec. Just like the Byzantine Empire. Just like Israel. But you're still right here. You're just under a different name. They call you Negro today. See? You're right here. They called you Tartars. They called you Caras, Callies. They called you more. But when it comes to the history of the Cathars, the original documents were burnt by the hijack. Lost, decayed. Generally, they just disappeared. Only 2 Latin translations of what is considered today primary sources were preserved: the Book of the Two Principles and John de Legio from Bergamo. Uh-oh, we got a couple more sources to dig on. The authorship of the second anonymous source is is vaguely and hesitantly ascribed to Parfait Bartholomew of Carcassonne. All the remaining literature about the Cathars are the works of the Catholic clergy. Come on, man, I can't make this up. All the other literature about these black Cathars are the works of the Catholic clergy. So who hijacked their name? Who hijacked the title? Now we got to go to Vatican. Now we got to go to the Vatican. Now we got to go to the Catholic. Cathars-Katai. Who hijacked the Katai? Man, they slick. Right in your face. Right in our face. They report that the Cathars, from the Greek katharor, meaning pure. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Man, we're just talking Katai. We're just talking black Katai. So put it together. What does it mean? If Kara means black or swarthy or copper color, and Katai, we're just narrowing it down. That Katai means pure. Cathar. Oh man, remember you got the map, man, of Cathay, China, India Superior. All this is America, right? Remember, man, you got the land. This is Prester John, installment number 48. Let's go. Cathay. Pure land. Just like Cibola, right? Shambhala. Pure, promised land, pure land. Cathay is pure land. To be a Katai is to be a pure one. Pure blood, right? We're talking David's, right? To be pure is to be black and pure. Pure blacks. The pure copper color, the pure ones, like the Aztec, the Azlan, this is all the land of purity, the Asher, the white lands, right? The pure lands, the pure Cathay, the Cathar, Katai. We dug into these Kens, that led us to what? Jethro, Well, we already know about these Kenites, man. All happening. It's all happening. Let's go. So Cathars-Katai is the pure blacks, man. You know what I'm saying? The pure copper color cons, man. You could just call us Israelites or Hebrews if you want, but all titles, man. Take your pick. Now they say these pures are followers supposedly of a Christian heresy. Heresy, like the Nestorian, right? Because when you're connected to this Nestor, you see how they try to connect it to heresy. Because first you got the oldest and wisest of the Greeks in the Trojan War. Sometimes not capital A, wise old man. So he's an historian. He's a wise old man. May refer to Nestor, the son of Neleus, the king of Pylos, Chloris, in Greek mythology. All right, they're going to connect it all in a hijack. A monk in Kiev, Rus. Uh-oh. Who's Nestor? And what does it got to do with the Rus? What does it got to do with the Rus? Or Clan Ross? Or Cathnas? Or the Cathars? Okay, let's take our time. Monk. We keep hearing Prester John connected to this. You know, he left the throne to be a monk. There's different things they're saying, man. So we're just in Kiev, man. When you talk Kiev, you know what I mean? This is the, it's the heartland when you talk the Russes, man. When you talk the Russians. I wish we still had that Jesse Ben. I'm just glad to see when links are still working, man. Because when the links are still working, man, it's a beautiful thing. Love to Jesse Ben Andrews. This is kind of a different one, man. Hold on, man. Hold on, man. Just when I started speaking too soon. Let's see, man. There's a lot of links. I'm trying to find this Lady Andrews link. Let me do it like this. Hold on. All right, cool. Got it. All right, let me do it like that. So you see all this connection already. You see these Andrewses, you see Black Hebrews pop up, Andros Island, the Rus. This is all connected with this Rus dynasty, man. I'm looking for the Lady Andrews, Prince Andrews of Rus. All right. See these King Charleses and these George Rosses. I gotta look into these Georges now that we're talking about this Genghis, man, and see. They forget we're just talking one Davidic family, right? Got King Charlemagne the Great, who also called himself David. Uh-oh. It's one big happy family. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's the one I wanted. All right, so we got Lady Andrews of Clan Seol Andrea. Clan Seol Andrea. Of the ancient and noble house of the Andrews. All right, and they connect all this. Here you got the Iberian Hebrews, Egypt, whose family named the Andros Islands, British Isle of Man, Andrews Island, California. We got the Khalifa drop, Bahamas. All right. All connected to, man, Scotia, Scotland, right? Scotia of Egypt. Pull up the link so you got the drop. Princess Tamar, right? So we're talking about David and Tamar. David the Fourth and Tamar, right? We was talking the Kingdom of Georgia. All right, man, let's get back at the brag room toonies. There we go. So we're just talking David and Tamar, man. Which means you're just talking the Rosses and the Rooses, man. Bragg Toonie Dynasty, okay. Iberia, okay. Kingdom of Georgia, prospered between the 11th and the 13th century, this period of time. Particular the reigns of David the Fourth, the Builder, like Solomon the Builder. You got this David the Fourth, the Builder, and his great-granddaughter, Tamar the Great. Oh, man. Hold up, man. Damn, you talking phantoms and duplicates. Then they got a David Sosslin in the 1700s, man. Here we go again. Son of King of Georgia. Brother of Miriam? Uh-oh. Come on. Come on, man. I can't make this up, man. All right, look. It could be nothing. It could be everything. It could be nothing. It could be everything. It could be nothing. We got a Tamar, another Tamar. We got a Georgie. Remember them Georgies we was just talking about? I never pulled this link up. I'm just digging on this Tamar the Great and his, as it relates. But where's that Georgie drop? I remember Georgie, a.k.a. Genghis Khan. We dug on this Georgie. It links you to Ivan the Terrible. All this Russian history. Same thing, different title. Ivan the Great is Georgie. Danilovich is Genghis Khan, who then could start calling himself King David and Prester John, right? Or Gurkhan. We're just talking Georgie. Let's keep digging on this sauce, Slim, man. Now, we say, hey, man, what if this Anan ben David, who wrote the code in 770, this Sefer HaMitzvah, Book of Precepts. What if this is Moses? We're just talking priest kings. We're just talking presters who wrote the same Sefer HaMitzvah, Book of Precepts. But now we took a 400-year leap with this Moses. But we're still just talking David. And then we said, well, David's father is Jesse. Jesse the sinless man. And then we realized that Moses' dad, Amram, is also a sinless man. And David, Prester John, got the emerald staff. And Moses in the book of Jasher gets the sapphire staff. But this Miriam situation, though. Now, I don't think even I was ready for that. Because I got some drop already lined up on Miriam. So for this to come up, it's, allow why. Come on. Half brother of, full brother of Eileen Bragatoni of Georgia and Miriam Bragatoni. Wife of David. So she's also the wife of a David. All right. Okay. It's getting good is all I'm saying. Let me make sure I bookmark this, man. It's getting good, man. It's getting good. Let's check out this David Slauson. Son of Jadaron of Melania. Now we're talking to Allens, huh? You see all this is lining up. Now we're just talking to Allens. Alania. The Ananites. Bang. We're just talking Tamar, daughter of David, the fourth of Georgia. Bagration, queen consort of Servine. All the way back to David the Fourth. So they say during this reign of David the Fourth, this is the golden age of this dynasty of Georgia. We gotta dig on this Rusadon, ex-husband of Rusadon. All right, so you see how we're getting this all connected. And this is Tamar's dad, Queen Tamar's dad. We're just talking David's, man. David's. Let's get back in there. Jesse Ben. So from these offspring, man, remember, we're just talking to Lady Andrews, lost tribes of Andros, all right? So that led us back into the offspring, all right, of this Melisius and Princess Scotia of Egypt, King Heremon and Princess Tamar, King Khan, Kola, Alpine, and the Vikings, or 6 kings. And when we talk about the Andrews in particular, or the Rus in particular, you talk about these houses, these clans. It says peace between the two houses of Danite Vikings and the house of Andreas. Remember Clan Cial Andreas. From the race of St. Andrew and the kindred of the kings of Jerusalem. So these Andreuses, or this clan Ross, are what they call the race of St. Andrew. And the Khan folk, connected to the kings of Jerusalem. And that's when we start talking about the Knights Templar, where it says the Rus were part and parcel with the Franks in forming the Knights Templar. So we talked about the Franks, right? And this supports my findings that the Rus and Russians were born from the same stock of red ones. Princess of Rus or Ross. Rus or Ross. Then all this is connected to that the Kiev situation, man. And you know, then you can dig on it. I mean, then you can dig on it. But this is all we talking about. This is all we talking about. It's all we talking about. Family crest of Andrews, the Ruses. This is all we talking about when we talk Russia or Mongol or Cathars-Katai or Cathars, Hebrews. Love the Jesse Ben. You're just talking about Jerusalem. Let's go. We're talking about the Pures. Listen up closely, because they keep calling it heresy. These people were connected with heresy because they were going against the hijack. The basic idea of their teachings is the division of the world into material and spiritual. This is the basis of their teaching, is that the world is divided into material and spiritual spheres, of which the material is the receptacle of evil. Heresy. That's going against Christianity. So the material things are leading us astray. That's that's heresy. Our world thus was created by Satan by Demiurge, which in the Cathar sects of the 15th to 16th centuries was equated with the God of the Old Testament. Inasmuch as in the philosophy of the Cathars, a God in no way was able to have a relationship to the material world, the idea of the appearance of it in the form of Christ as a man was alien to them. And this is just a hijack interpreting what they think these people were on. So don't even get it twisted. Just know that whatever they were rocking with, they were just talking about the Torah, the Tanakh. Whatever they were rocking with, this Christ as a man business was alien to them. And so it was called heresy by the Christians. The Cathars refuted baptism by water. They said, fuck all this Christian stuff. Recognizing the receiving of communion by sunlight and fire. They got their light direct, man, from the soul. In other words, they continue the views of the sun and fire worshippers. Oh, now they're worshiping the sun. The Cathar cross was a symbol of the sun and its radiance. But now you're just putting words in their mouths, because I'm pretty sure these Katais would call this something like a towel, something like a makir, something like a mek. And they called themselves good Christians while venerating the sun being, which they called, come on, man, come on, man. Stone Cathar crosses in the basement of Paul Dupuy Museum in Toulouse, France. Jesus Christ in the Cathar pagan sense means messenger of the spirit that was sent by God. So we're talking the messengers of Hawaii. You know, we can dig on Joshua. We know what that message is. We can go there, we can read it. We know the action, we know the result. Enough said, case closed. But this is what they've turned into by including your crucifixion, your affliction right here, and creating a super naga, which they call the Messiah. What happened to all the Davids? The Cathars believed that the soul entered a bodily form again and again, reincarnation as punishment for sin. In their belief, a soul could also enter into an animal, therefore the consumption of animals and food was forbidden. Whoa. Whoa, love to the battle family, man. It ain't that hard when you transition to vegan. That's deep right there. So they don't eat no animals because they said that You know, a human soul could even enter into an animal, or, a demon, right, could even enter into an animal that you're consuming. You're consuming demonic energy. The consumption of animals in food was forbidden. And one noticed similar beliefs in India. Which one? India superior? Therefore, the assertions of Catholic sources ring strangely that Cathars were a Christian heresy. In the Gospels, Jesus is presented mainly as one who identifies completely with the God of the Old Testament. You see? Do you see the hijack? Identifies completely with Ahchwa. Let's go. So much drop. So much drop around these Saracens and these Nestorians. Because it was all about taking out these Nestorians. It was all about taking out these Saracens. We weighing all and singular the premises with due meditation, man. This is what the Pope signed off on, and this led to the 1492 discovery of you, because they came here for war, and this is their declaration of war in writing. Pope Nicholas V, this has never been retracted. This has never been taken back. We weighing all and singular the premises with due meditation, and noting that since we have formally by the letters of ours granted among other things free and ample faculty to the aforesaid King Alfonso to invade, search out, capture, vanquish, and subdue all Saracens. This is the declaration of war against the Saracen. A Saracen's head. All Nagas. This would be a so-called African American today. Saracens. 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 To invade the Saracens. Search them out. Capture, vanquish, subdue all Saracens, and who they call pagans, like the Cathars, right? They're calling Israelites pagans, man. That's the crazy shit. Because they're enemies of their Zeus, their Black Christ, image, idol, wheresoever place. So they took out your kingdoms like what? Quivera, Antioch, Jerusalem. They took your dukedoms, your principalities, your dominions, your possessions, your movable and immovable goods, whatsoever held and possessed, and they reduced you to what? Perpetual slavery. That's forever, man. And they implied and they appropriated to himself, and and his successors, that's all the descendants of the invaders today, walking around Beverly Hills. They took your kingdoms, your dukedoms, your counties, your principalities, your dominions, your possessions, your goods, and they converted them to his or their use and profit. Papal Bull. This is a tremendously important document that puts you in captivity. This is your declaration of war, which only means that you're a prisoner of war today. Yeah, Naga, you're a prisoner of war. You can get asylum, man, in other countries. Can you dig it? But we're just talking about our spot, Prester John's spot. We're talking Cathay and the Cathars, and India Superior, of course. We're just talking Sarah's sons. Let's go. Let's dig a little bit more on these Cathars. Let's get it from here. It is reflected in the Western Chronicles as a crusade against the Cathars. This holy war, right? Because they're only looking for Prester John, but they're still at war against the Katai at the same time. So, why are they looking for Prester John all these many years? Oh, because they wanted an ally, or because they were at war? They were at war. They were at war against you. Why do we dig on Prester John today? Why do we dig on David today? Because we're called. We're called to dig. We're called to see clearly. We're called because after the Israelites will return and seek Ahchwa, their God, their power, and David, their king, they will come trembling to Ahchwa and to his blessings. And the last days, these are the last days. You're seeking your creator, right? You're seeking Ahchwa. And Prester John, priest King David. We're talking David the Fourth. We're talking Anan ben David. We're seeking David, man. Even when Genghis Khan calls himself David, we're still seeking that. We're peeling back the layers of the medieval histories. The books are being unsealed. We're talking Babylonian captivity. We're talking the book of Daniel, David's second son. We're talking the Sefer HaMitzvah, Book of Prophets, which means we're only just talking Moshe. We're about to get on these three Moseses. It is one of the least distorted pages of history, with only the correction that the religion of the Cathars is paganism. invade all Saracens and pagans. And now these Cathars or these Katais are pagans because they don't convert to their version of his story. And this is an interesting kind of breakdown about the Quran and just these titles, man. There's a lot of various information which is evident that the English before the 17th century never used the words Muslim, Islam, Quran, Minaret, Mezin, Muezzin, Hijra, Kaaba, and you see the sons of an obscure Albion already had visited. And this Albion is on these Tucson, Arizona artifacts we've been digging on with Kalalus, visited by the time all the countries of the world and should have known them. Neither Francis Bacon nor William Shakespeare knew anything about Muslims. Altogether, these are one and the same events which occurred in the Israelite Byzantine Empire. Body bag for the illusion. Israelite Byzantine Empire. Go up. You're talking Ivan's rule, right? Or Genghis Khan. I can't make this up, man. I'm just chilling, man. We chilling, man. The traditional history says that with the Proto-Renaissance in 1212 to 1492, that's right when Genghis Khan took over right there, right around that early 1200s. According to this timeline, the Spanish and Portuguese won back the Iberian Peninsula from the Moors. That same period is described in Eastern sources as the Tartar-Mongol yoke, which lasted approximately 260 years. More on more war, starting from Genghis Khan and ending with the Grand Standing at the Ugar River in 1481. Now you got 1492, what happens to you? That same period is described by a Latin term, a short-term Latin conquest of Tsarograd in 1204. We got to dig on the Tsarograd. And the split of the Byzantine Empire. Israelite Byzantine Empire, right? Afterwards, the restoration of Greek authority, 1261, with the subsequent prosperity and the final fall of Byzantine in 1453. We just read the 1452 Papal Bull saying subjugate these Saracens. And you're telling me 1 year later, after subjugating these Saracens, 1452, is the fall of the Byzantine? So who's the enemies of Christ? It must be Israelites. It must be Israelites because we're only talking the Israelite Byzantine Empire. How in the world did Israel get run up on 1 year after their declaration of war? Because Israel is who they're referring to when they're invading and searching out and capturing. Israel's who they were talking about with these Saracens. We see it right here, a Saracen's head. We're just talking the red thread, the lost tribes of Israel. A Saracen's head. Subjugate these Saracens. 1452. 1453. Israel falls. subjugate these Saracens. Solomon became ruler. But again, that is not the name of the concrete person, but a sobriquet, similar to Archimedes, beginning of beginnings, the Byzantine Emperor Leo VI, the philosopher, and Andronicus II, Paleologus, claimed the role of Solomon. Boy, does it get deep when you're just digging on Prester John. Let's dig on these. Remember we talked about these three Moseses, right? So we got these time shifts. All right, you got the Moses in the script, son of Amram. That's way in the BCs, right? You got this Moses ben Maimon. We've been digging on this Maimon. All right. We even found him in genie.com. The Great Eagle, they call him. Rambam, they call him. Musa, they call him. Musa. Moshe is synonymous with Musa. Birthplace Tiberius, Israel. Tiberius, huh? Wow. Put it all together. We're talking Maimonides. Three Moseses. Well, we got the one we know, right? Son of a sinless man. We got Moses ben Maimon, right? Who wrote the code, right? Who wrote the same code. Around these 1100s, around 1170, right? All right, come on. Wrote the same code, Book of Precepts, Sefer HaMaswat. As Anan ben David in 770. Sefer HaMaswat. I mean, we got to keep going over it. So one's in 770, the other's in 1170, 1168. All right, that's a couple of Moseses. Now he died, they said, in either 1206 or 1208. They said Prester John died in 1202, man. Huh? The government of Egypt took him in soon as its counselor, just like what, Joseph, right? In a sense, just like Moshe. In the book of Jasher, Moshe becomes king of Cush. Then he became physician to the court. It was at that time that he published different works. All right, so that's when we got into his works. So you got the Moshe son of Amram. You got the Moshe son of Maimon. Then you got this Moshe Mendelssohn son. Mendelssohn. And this is the 1700s drop. So you see these timeline shifts, you know what I mean? Or it's just one big coincidence. Hey, all right. So let's see if he wrote some great works and, you know, was rocking in Egypt and, you know, doing all this, you know what I'm saying, very Moses-ish stuff, you know what I mean? Moses-ish stuff. Let's see if he had anything to do with the code. All right, so he's rocking in Germany, 1720. His father, having but little wealth, could not make any sacrifice for his education. Young Mendelssohn had a taste for study. Oh, here we go. And when his teacher, David Frankel, removed to Berlin, he followed him there. in the familiar intercourse with the learned Aaron. We got an Aaron, we got a David. He acquired the desire and the power of arriving at scientific attainments, but he had to procure his living, and the brilliant talents of Moses, Mendelssohn, were compelled to submit to the subordinate duties of bookkeeping and after to the labors of an inspector of a silk factory, not having the means of paying a teacher or of attending a regular course at the university. He undertook to accomplish his education himself. He was self-taught. He saved by living sparingly sufficient to buy his first Latin books, and by dint of superhuman efforts which injured his health, he became one of the most learned men of all time. Learned men of his time. Here we go. Another super smart learned man, just like Moshe, son of Amram, just like Moshe, Maimonides, all the great works he did. This other Moshe in the 1700s, possessed the finest talents of all modern Israelites. They didn't say Israelis, did they? They didn't say State of Israel 1947. What do we know about the 1700s? This Moshe possessed the finest talents of all Israelites. And Germany, remember Benjamin Franklin said Germany is also swarthy, so we're just talking about more black people, okay? Is justly entitled to be honored for counting him among the number of his writers for first rank. This man who instructed himself alone has immortalized himself by an elegant and faithful translation of the Bible. Okay. Because this Moses Maimonides, right? He's working on the code of Hebrew law at the age of 33, on which he also labored 10 years bearing the name Mishneh Torah. So this one rewrote the Bible. This one rewrote the Bible. This one wrote the code. They all wrote the code. They all wrote. So whether they say he rewrote it or he reviewed it and all that, they can say all that they want to, or the real drop's really coming from the 1700s, or the real drop's really coming from the 1200s, or the real drop's really coming from the 700s. Either way, they're writing the definitive code of order. Sefer HaMitzvah. They're writing the law. All of them are writing the law. All three. The Israelites, so he wrote this elegant translation of the Torah. They say Bible. The simple clerk required for himself friends among all ranks and admirers among all persuasions. The Israelites above all have vowed him a deep gratitude for the admirable lessons which he has left them and the impulse which he has given to the great work of their emancipation. Emancipation. Uh-oh. Another exilar. Another exile, another freedom, another emancipation. His contemporaries surrounded him with esteem and admiration. Posterity, while ratifying this judgment, has joined thereto the expression of his thankfulness. It said a slight error because Mendelssohn did not translate more than the 5 books of Moses. Okay, so when they say that he translated the Bible, You gotta read the fine print. Like we said, we're just talking Tanakh, man. Torah and Tanakh. Let's go. He didn't translate more than the 5 books of Moses. Okay, so he wrote the books of Moses. Psalms. That's David territory. Song of Solomon, Ruth, Lamentations, Esther, and Ecclesiasticus. So, if I'm not mistaken, all that is, David, Solomon, Moshe territory. The education or the elucidation of the sacred writers for the countrymen of Mendelssohn, Moshe, is continued to this day. What else he do, man? Moses. Okay, so they said these 3 eminent men are the historical stakes, or we're just talking phantoms and duplicates. And don't even forget about Moses the Black, who was also rocking in Egypt, who dismissed him for theft and suspected murder, just like Moses, son of Amram. Look at Moses the Black. Look at this swarthy man. Come on, man. Come on, man. A large, imposing figure, he became the leader of a gang of bandits who roamed the Nile Valley, spreading terror and violence. Did Moses spread terror and violence to the Egyptians? Roman, telling him, let my people go. Oh, then he became a Christian. No sweat. He said he died around the age of 75, about the year 405. Word came that a group of Berbers planned to attack the monastery. The brothers wanted to defend themselves, but Moses forbade it. He told them to retreat rather than take up weapons. Peaceful man, huh? Moses the Black. Moses, son of Amram. Moses, son of Maimon. Moses, Mendelssohn. I'm not the only one comparing all these Moses, all these Moshes, especially when they're lining up with these Anan ben Davids. So, of course, you got Moses, son of Amram, announced an only God who fills the world with his immeasurable power. His moral system is that of all religions established since his time. The chronicle which he wrote has become the thread which guides the historian night of antiquity, political science, agriculture, health laws, the arts, and nearly every kind of useful knowledge. Find some precious memorials in the Pentateuch. First 5 books, right? With what nobleness does he speak to Pharaoh? With what force does he demonstrate to the Israelites the benefits of liberty? With what wisdom does he govern, enlighten, and direct this people which had been rendered torpid through slavery? With what perseverance does he contend during 40 years against rebellion, famine, and war? That's Moses, son of Amram. Moses, son of Maimon, gives to the lessons of the Pentateuch an interpretation which is liberal, natural, and strict. He establishes order and connection into the Talmudic laws, fixes the duties and rights of each man, sums up the foundation of religion in articles of faith, combats odious superstition, and places in bold relief whatever of pure and elevated morality is contained in the precepts of Moses. Moses' middle son always correct and elegant at a time when these qualities should serve as a passport to truth, is nevertheless always full of strength and dignity. He oxidizes or occidentalizes, if we may use this term, the laws of the Pentateuch, and shows their relation to modern ideas. Firm in his belief and energetic in the expression of his pious sentiments, he is not the less so when it is necessary to contend against the abuses which have attached themselves to the Jewish law and disfigure it like the rust which tarnishes polished steel. Moses speaks to ignorant hearers, and when he is not able to descend down to their understanding, he surrounds himself with the religious obscurity, leaving to time the care of dissipating it. My mind often fears clashing against the ideas of his readers, and it is in this form of the Arabian philosophy that he envelops his bold opinions. Mendelssohn speaks to enlightened but timid men, and his thoughts are dressed in brilliant colors or suffer themselves to be looked for in the dreams of the metaphysician. The Israelites of Moses knew not yet the true law. Those of my mind knew it badly. Those of Mendelssohn had already forgotten it. But all three have claims to the gratitude of posterity. From Moses to Moses, no other one could have been compared to them. And again, love to the Templar, get the drop, because he's been digging on from David to David's. And how time seems to kind of flow from David to David, which is from Moses to Moses. The learned, therefore, confound them in the same admiration and without disturbing oneself concerning the different periods and the different countries which saw the birth of the three Moseses. All Israel claimed them as their own. Science cites them among her fathers. Philosophy places them among her elect, and humanity inscribes them among the number of her benefactors. All of the three were exposed to the same persecutions. A people yet half barbarous revolting against Moses. A coalition of would-be learned men burnt the works of Maimon, and a vulgar crowd of fanatics poisoned the triumphs of Mendelssohn. Moses wrote the Pentateuch, Maimon commented on it, and Mendelssohn translated it. They're just talking liberty. Equally sublime in their ideas, equally noble in their expressions, have in view the same object, liberty. All of them was about true freedom. All of the three, as if to complete the parallel, died before having seen their works bearing fruit, before having seen the dream of their life realized. None of them entered the promised land. Even Moses the black man. Even Moses the black man. Even Moses the black man. They called him the leader of a gang of bandits. Citing that a violent death was the appropriate death for a former robber. All who take the sword will perish by the sword. He opted to remain behind. He was joined by 7 others, and they were together martyred by the bandits on the 24th of Paoni, or July 1st. Oh, because he's a former robber, so he's worthy of death. Moses, 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 Moses. We got 4 Moseses in real time. Remember, man. Thus, within the basis of the Old Testament book of Daniel are the events in Russia horde of the 16th century. So whether we're talking 1700s or 1500s, whatever happened, man, in the so-called Dark Ages, whatever happened in the so-called medieval times was very, very recent and just completely, changed the whole entire ball game, man. It changed. All the rules changed, the timelines change. So be patient with yourself as you put it back together again. We're just talking Musa. How we doing? How we doing? Are we surfing the wave? We good. How the original manuscript of Maimonides, first mature work made from Morocco to Jerusalem, Morocco. The great Jewish philosopher and rabbi Moses Maimonides completed his work, his commentary on the Mishnah, the early stratum of the Talmud, in 1161. At the age of 30, this is 3 years before he wrote this Ha-Mitzvot, Book of Precepts. Although he had already settled in Cairo by then, he began work on the commentary 7 years earlier when he was probably still living in Morocco. Whoa. So this Moses has a grandson, David. Huh? This same David eventually immigrated to Syria, taking the manuscripts with him. His family settled in the city of Aleppo. Yeah, I mean, once upon a time, man, when I was, going through my valley, what I'm saying? I read a lot of books, man, and one of them, had to do with this Aleppo Codex. It's a whole thing on this thing, man. It's a whole world around this thing. Yeah. It's a whole book, and they're looking for the real one, and everyone knows all these things are faked. They're looking for the real ones. Crown of Aleppo, Cathars-Katai. Let's go. We're talking about Amram. Let's go. Is a medieval bound manuscript of the Hebrew Bible. The Codex was written in the city of Tiberias. Tiberias. Who was born in Tiberias, Israel? Which Moses? Y'all remember? He was born in Germany. Alright. He was born in Ethiopia, so must be his Maimonides, man. Was he born in Spain? Who was born in I know y'all saw it, man. I know somebody said was born in Tiberias, Israel. Bang. Oh, place of burial. Ha ha ha. And he was buried in Tiberias, Maimonides. And we're just digging on this Aleppo. This Aleppo was written in the city of Tiberias. 10th century. Well, that's 900. Under the Caliphate. Was endorsed for its accuracy by Maimonides. Okay. So he endorsed for its accuracy. Interesting. Cathars-Katai, crown of Aleppo, was not yet identified biblical city. Was a not yet, or Aram-Zobah was a not yet identified biblical city in modern Syria, whose name was applied in 11th century onward. It was applied in the 11th century onward. Man. Look at this. Yo, we're just digging on Aleppo. And how will we know anything about the Carians? Right? How will we know? If we weren't already digging on it, we'd be lost in the sauce, man. But because we've been digging on it, we've been digging on the Cathars-Katai, the Carians. Because you've been digging on the Carians and the Katai, or the pure, right? The pure. The pure, the Cathars, the powerful tribes, the Byzantine, the Israelites. Now you can dig on Aleppo, and it says the Caria Jewish community of Jerusalem purchased the codex about 100 years after it was made. What was that? 1100s? During the First Crusade? It's all about Prester John, man. It's all about Prester John. Whether you're talking Moshe or Anam ben David. The synagogue was plundered and the codex was transferred to Egypt, whose Jews paid a high price for its ransom. It was preserved at the Karaite, then Rabbinites synagogue in Old Cairo. Okay. Where it was consulted by Maimonides, Moshe, who described it as a text trusted by all Jewish scholars. It is rumored that in 1375, one of Maimonides' descendants brought it to Aleppo, Syria, leading to its present name. Yo, there's books about this mystery of where this thing is, and who knew that we would go into it with this lane, looking at these three Moshes and this Priest King investigation. Installment number 48 leads us directly to this mystery text of the Aleppo Codex. Man, we've connected the Dead Sea Scrolls, man, with the Cathars-Katai. We've connected the Aleppo with the Carians and the Cathars-Katai. And now it's just connecting beautifully again, like spiraling with these three Moshes. These Davids. Wow, okay. A lot of drop on this Maimonides, man. Maimonides, man. We're talking the three Moshes, man. The three Moseses. But we know there's four. At least. Tiberias, okay, all right. So this David right? Took these manuscripts with him. His family settled in the city of Aleppo at some point. Maimonides' Moshe's family apparently split apart. It is likely that the famous patriarch's relatives decided to divide the manuscript into 6 fragments, each containing one of the 6 orders into which the Mishnah is divided. In an introduction to the first part of the commentary manuscript, Rabbi Solomon, one of Maimonides' great-grandchildren, wait a minute, man. So his grandson is David and his great-grandson is Solomon? Let's go. So I want to talk Miriam, man. I want to get back in that Miriam drop. Dedicated the text to God and to the past and future generations of his family up until the coming of the Mashiach. Yeah. You dig on it. You dig on it, man. You dig on it. We'll get a few more of these commandments, man. You know what I mean? But these are the positive commandments and negative commandments. Let's get one of these positives. 613 laws, right? The 4th Mishnah is that we are commanded to establish in our minds fear and dread of Ahchwa, and that he not be calm and nonchalant, but be constantly concerned of imminent punishment. The biblical sources of this commandment and God's statement, you shall fear Ahchwa, your power. So we already know we're lost in translation with that fear spell, but we overstand the reverence and the obedience. We overstand. So you see, these are just following, like breakdowns. It's kind of like you can. Let me get this clear. Hold on. I'll make sure we make a good dismount. All right, so we all good. Let's get it, man. Let's get this dismount. So Sefer, how much woe? All right, so you got the positive commandment, and it's an example of a negative commandment, which is just, telling you what not to do. The 4th prohibition is that we are forbidden from making an image of a human being from metal, stone, wood, or anything similar. Should I go back to that black Christ image? You know what I'm talking about. Even though it was not made in order to be worshipped. Even though it was not made in order to be worshipped. Oh, this image wasn't made to be worshipped, but worship it. Worship the thought, the pattern, the symbol. The reason for this is to keep us from making any images whatsoever, so that we should not entertain the false belief held by the masses, the idol worshippers, that these images have supernatural power. Do not make a representation of anything that is with me. Do not make yourselves silver or gold gods. That includes, these dragon idols that they would make, just like the angels turned into idols. They started worshiping the angels. They started worshiping the dragons, right? They started worshiping everything that was with Ahchwa. Do not make a representation of anything that is with me. I mean, this is just, a breakdown, a thorough breakdown of the code, man. And who wrote the code? Who wrote the code? Who wrote the Sefer HaMitzvot? Anan ben David did, they say. He wrote the Sefer HaMitzvot. So we're just talking about the laws of David or the laws of this Moshe, Maimonides. Let's keep going. Now here's where it gets fun when we talk Miriam, and it's also somewhere in this book as well, this medieval Empire of the Israelites by Robert Grisham, that says in the Quran, Miriam is the mother of Joshua, right? And then the Christians go on and they say, oh, well, the Quran got it twisted. Muhammad got it wrong. It's all about Jesus. But this Miriam in the Quran, she's the sister of Moses, and then she has a baby Yeshua, a baby Joshua. Now this would make Joshua, just stick with the Torah for now, this makes Joshua Moses' nephew, which is why that energy was passed on to Joshua. And if we want to think about it in terms of David or, Prester John, this would make Joshua Prester John's nephew in a sense, which is probably why you got the John the Baptist character baptizing Jesus in the New Testament. Why you need this John the Baptist to baptize Jesus, or is Prester John dipping Joshua in the fountain? His nephew. Okay. Let's go. So, interesting threads here, man, you can dig on. Does the Quran say that Mary is the sister of Aaron? Aaron, the brother of Moses, was the first in line of the Israelite priesthood. The Bible tells us the Jewish clerical organization was initiated by Aaron. Just as his younger brother Moses propagated the Jewish law, it was in fact of Aaron being the founder of the Jewish priestly order, and Mary being brought up by a priest and under the very shadow of the temple that her calumniators had it. Oh man, excuse me, man. I'm doing a double drop. So, I'm bringing it all home, man. My voice bone is, almost on an empty tank, man. But my spirit is full, man. My ruach is full. Let me get my alkaline for this dismount. All right, it's too good. Let's go. So Aaron got the priestly order. Mary's being brought up by a priest, and under the very shadow of the temple of her calumniators had in mind when they called her sister of Aaron. As Elizabeth was related to Aaron, Luke 1 and 5, she was thus related to Levi, Numbers 18. And in Joshua 18, Mary was related to Elizabeth of the tribe of Levi, and in the priestly line of Aaron, this may suggest that Mary also belonged to the tribe of Levi. According to the Mosaic law, the priesthood in Israel was limited to the sons of Aaron. Aaron is the first priest before Ahchwa, the Aaronic blessing, number 6, in use today among the Jews and Christians, is named after him, the Khans. In calling her sister of Aaron, Mary was reminded of her high lineage and uncompromising moral fortitude of her progenitors. Let's go. I don't know about the Quran, but the Bible does. That includes the Jewish Bible. The Quran copies a lot of stories from Christianity and Judaism, so I think that they would have got this right. So of course you got the name game. You got Miriam, and then you got Mary in the New Testament. You got Jesus, and you got Joshua in the Old Testament. So Mary gives birth to Jesus over there. Miriam gives birth to Joshua over here. When we talk about the mother of Jesus in English, we say Mary, which is the English version of the Greek version of the name, but in Arabic, Muslim knew her as Maryam. Yeah. But they're not just getting the name twisted. They're saying, nah, yeah, I got you. But this is Mary, the sister of Moses. They're not playing, you know what I'm saying, with the name game by itself. Oh, yeah, it looks the same. No, the story, the context is that this Miriam is the sister of Aaron and Moses. Moses Musa, right? Oh, yeah, we got that. We got the Moses Musa drop, Harun. Now check this out. Jesus, Isa. Uh-oh, where's my... Hold up, man. Where's my Jesse drop? Because Jesse, Ishai, Isa. Isa equals Isa. Tree of Isa. Phantoms and duplicates. Jesus, Isa, Ishai, Jesse, Isa, Aaron, Harun, Moses, Musa. Okay, we got that. We got that, man. Where's my because even this Moses is also a Musa, right? Okay. So did the Quran have it right? Did the Quran got it wrong? Sister of Aaron, whereas Moses was born long before Jesus, right? That's what they want to say. That's what they saying. Oh, this is a translation of the Quran? Okay. Sister of Aaron, your father was not a man of evil, nor was your mother unchaste, which means that your mother was chaste or a virgin. Uh-oh. And your father was not a man of evil, which means he was a righteous man. Remember, she's the daughter of Amram, right? Later rabbinic traditions name him as one of the four ancient Israelites who died without sin. Jesse, along with Benjamin, Daniel, and Amram, the mother of Mary. The father of Miriam. So neither was your father evil, right? So he was righteous. He was not only not evil, but he was a sinless man. All right, let's check this out. It says Muhammad was confused about Jesus' mother's identity. In the Quran, he erred by identifying her as Aaron's sister. So in the Quran, he's clearly saying Aaron's sister, but the Christians say he must be confused. Well, let's see. They called her the sister of Aaron, man. All right. Over and over again. Sister of Aaron, sister of Aaron. Was Muhammad confused about Mary's identity, or was Mary really identified with and metaphorically called sister of Aaron? Was Muhammad telling the truth, or did he cover a mistake with a lie? I mean, you see where these investigations are leading into more investigations. Further, they did not recognize the technique or model in which this idiom was used had they known the custom that Muhammad said existed of people calling other people brother or sister of ancient pious people, like possibly sister of Moses, brother of David, sister of Abraham. So they just threw that out there, sister of Aaron, just as some Muhammad type of thing. I don't know, man. This really shrinks the story of the New Testament, man, because you just got Moses' nephew Joshua gets a colt, not Black Christ, and the crucifixion represented in the story didn't mean that Joshua was crucified. It meant that this was used along with the symbolism of you being crucified. This is syncretic, which means they're putting all this stuff together to form a super knocker. Let's go. You got all these links. The Quran confuses Mary, the mother of Jesus, with Mary, the sister of Moses. The Quran identifies Mary as the sister of Aaron, the daughter of Imran, whose mother was the wife of Imran. So how you get it that wrong? Do you think the Quran got it wrong? Or do you think you just found a little bit more of the drop? Mary and Jesus, Miriam and Joshua. They just want to call it confusion though, man. That's all you gotta say, I guess. We're talking about Surah 19, O sister of Harun or Aaron. Oh, that doesn't refer to Aaron, the brother of Moshe. You have lied. You lied, man. So you dig on Miriam, man. Dig on the Quran and find the connection. We're talking Mary, man. We're talking Moshe. We're talking the three Moshes. Even though we know there's another. We're talking the specific connection between Moshe Mama, who wrote the code, just like Anna Ben David. We broke down the Cathars. We broke down the Cathars. And we're going to, take a sidestep into, back into the Corvair, back into the cities of gold. I just wanted to let this be known and fully understood. That the search continues. And you got to find it in the timeline. You got to find it in the Mongols. You got to find it in all these titles. Mongolians, Katai, Cathars. You gotta dodge the maps. You gotta find the maps. You gotta flip the maps. You gotta do all this, man, to get to the, clarity when you're seeking the priest king, when you're seeking Prester John. And what I want to do now, man, is just, now that we covered a great deal, man, into this Anam David and this Moshe, I want to get back into this Quivera, back into this Edzania. Because we're going to be getting on the cities of gold real soon anyway, man. So as long as we got a little bit of time, I want to make a nice, oh yeah. I want to cut right into the great recon of a great brother, man. A great brother, man. I'm saying a real great brother. Hey, we dodging hijacks, man. Don't you know? Came to the wrong place. All right, man, let's go to the bro Natural by Law, man. You got the links, you got the drop. Oh, wow. Yeah, man. What's time, man? What's time anyway? Hold on. I always search for Natural by Law. Go Natural by Law breath. Wow. All right. Hey, man. Here we go. And this bro did a 3-hour live, man. 3-hour live, man. I hope you was there to see it. It was truly amazing, man. We belly flopping right in the middle of it. Let's fall back, man. Let's fall back. We in the classroom. The Appalachian. We're talking Antioch, the Great Khan. Let's go.
All right, I'm gonna blow this up one more time for the Shabbat.
Oh, wow.
Told y'all we was gonna get into some drop, and here we are. So this is the kingdom, right? We're just talking about what? Kingdom of Israel, right? That had Hebraic, Hebrew roots, and they called on the Creator, Ahchwa. That's what we're digging on, right? So let's see what we can get. It says, after Dominique's The Gorge voyage, French maps suddenly had extremely accurate portrayals of the Savannah River Basin. This accuracy continued until about 1701, when suddenly the French maps completely omitted the Savannah River at the same time that the English maps began showing that the Savannah and its tributaries more accurately. This is an unsolved mystery. All right, so I guess this is a French map. And like the reader was saying, they were worried about everyone else finding out, right? Check out these names, right? A lot of Maya in them. Maya, it almost looks like Marcus. Maya Arcus, right? It's weird. Marcus, it's crazy, but it's Maya. Mayarqus. It's weird, right? And then right here it looks like Mayon, right? Oh my God, keep this in mind, right? Check these names out. See what else we got. Roanoke. Check out the stones, right? Says he thought he had found a map to Blackbeard's pirate treasure. Oh man. Yeah, I mean this is crazy. That was just a little side thing right there for Mrs. Me. That was a little confirmation of Blackbeard. We'll see later in presentations why. This definitely has some drop, right?
And notice, man, the bros breaks it down so thoroughly, and he tells you, man, this is just the way, man. We've been digging on Georgia, the kingdom of Georgia, or Genghis, We've been talking all this, and he's right here in the book called The Forgotten History of North Georgia. Can't make this stuff up.
Father, what? It's a lot of drop in here. It's a lot of drop in here. Let's see. It's just so much drop in here. I'm really like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
Let's dig on it.
Prester John of Appalachia, come to baptize you with me. Remember that drop? Remember that song? You think it's a play, man? All right, man. Hold up, man. Go get him, dog.
Says this is a fanciful interpretation of an Appalachian mountainside town done by a Dutch engraver who never saw the region. In 1658, French Huguenot ethnologist and minister, the Reverend Charles de Roquefort, wrote a book that included a chapter on the Appalachian Kingdom in North Georgia. He said that the Appalachian elite lived in stone buildings on the sides and tops of mountains, while the commoners lived in towns with far less stone architecture in the river valleys. The elite wore clothing very similar to traditional Seminole clothing. Seminole clothing, right? Seminole clothing. Very interesting, right? Again, we're talking about this kingdom of Appalachia, right? The kingdom of the Appalachians.
Georgia.
So, as we can see, right, it's a whole lot of drop in this book. Let's see, is there anything else? Oh, let's peep it. Let's peep it, right? It says, in July of 1773, Robert Needham and Gabriel Arthur led a party from Petersburg, Virginia, southwestward in an attempt to open up trade contacts with large Indian towns located in the confluence of Upper Tennessee and Little Tennessee River. After Needham returned, Abraham Woods wrote a letter to John Richards, a financier in England, that described the journey. Virtually all Cherokee history websites and books state that the traders journeyed southwestward, made contact with the overhill Cherokees living on the Little Tennessee River and Chota. In actuality, the words Cherokee, Chota, and Tennessee are not mentioned in the long report that Needham wrote to his employer, Abraham Wood. The town names in that region were all Creek or Maya words. The name of the Tennessee River, Callimaco, is an Isa Maya word meaning house of the king. The only southwestern Virginia Indian tribes mentioned in the report were the Appomattox, Algonquian, the Tamahiti, called the Tamoatin by Algonquian speakers, and the Occaneechi, right? It's funny how we back at the Occaneechi, right? But most Virginia scholars call them Sonoans or Siouans today because they don't know the Creek languages. So that's crazy, right? That's crazy.
House of the King.
Cherokee connected linguistically to this. Wow. So the Cherokee linguistically are connected to the Itzamaya. And the Tennessee River was actually called Calimico or Mako, Calimako. The Itzamaya, right? So this is why, you get a lot of back and forth when it comes to folks, attaching themselves to the actual Cherokee frequency or the Cherokee frequency. You know what I'm saying? Because they actually say this.
And how dope is this, man? We be dealing on the Kara, right? The Kara means black, right? Cathars-Katai. And then you got the Cherokee, the Ch. Remember that Ch, like China, don't exist. You have the Kena or Kana, just like this Cherokee. You could just dig on it as Karaka, Karaka, Karaki, Karati.
These are the hijacks, right? And this is why when we really dig, we come across the Annie and Wea, right? The Annie and Wea, the ancient ones, the principal people. But nonetheless, we got some drop on that too. Because we know that, we know that weird science was cracking at some point in time. Right? That alchemy. We know it was cracking at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? But it was interesting to see that, there was a connection with this. It's a Maya, right? Definitely thought that was crazy. That was real dope. So we're going to go ahead and check out some more. We're going to continue on this journey. Shalom to the Shabbatah.
Yeah.
But before I do that, let me go back to this. Where was it? I can't just skip over this like we didn't see this, right? Kalimako is an Ita word meaning house of the king. House of the king. We're talking about Tennessee, right? Tennessee River. So what king are we talking about? You know what I'm saying? What king are we talking about? I'm pretty sure right now, Shabbatah, since I asked the question, you should know. Because like I said, the Most High works only in natural ways, right? So this drop naturally just happened to coincide with my tribe. You know what I'm saying? I ain't forced nothing. This is not even something that I dig on naturally. But naturally today, it just so happens to match, right?
Yeah.
What's true is true, and sometimes things start to unlock. And it's just so that we can witness. Bear witness to our brethren. You know what I'm saying? Bear witness to our Ahchwas. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with doing so.
That's right.
So you're seeing it with me, I'm seeing it with you. And this is why we're building on the kingdom. Because now we understand that there was a king, the house of the king over here in Tennessee. Right? But what king do you know for ancient Israel? Right? The kingdom of Israel. What king are you aware of?
Woo-wee! Get over there, man. The Golden Kingdom. Man, the Golden Kingdom. Papal. Appalachian province. Make sure you subscribe ASAP, man, to Natural by Law, man. We're just talking Prester John of Appalachia. And I'll be bumping this all the time, man, on the live ether, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they'll let me play it over here, man, but just go over there in your free time, type in Prester John of Appalachia. And this is all we're talking about. Appalachia, right? Tennessee. So it's from the Pine Box Boys, man. Fair use, man. This is for educational research purposes and all that, man. Hold up, man.
A stranger came into these hills singing funny songs in a carrying a Christian poem 1,000 pages long. He opened up the poem, said his name was Prester John, and he read right through summertime and finished up at dawn. Prester John and Appalachia come to baptize you and me.
That's all I'm gonna give you, man. So the bro is just kicking Prester John and Appalachia, telling you what king is over here rocking in Appalachia. Go to the Pine Box boys, they'll let you know. Prester John and Appalachia come to baptize you and me. We're just talking the fountain of youth. Can we dig it, man? We're almost there. We got time for one more. I think we got time for a little bit more, man. I want to get back into this Edzania, man. And, we've been talking about the lost city of Corvera, right? It brought us to Kansas. It brought us to the Wichita. It brought us to the Washita. So I think we got about, let's get it from right here, man. Oh, wow.
Getting back home is not so simple.
They retreated back the way they came, only to find that the Escanjaques were lying in wait for them in the deserted town and attacked them.
Oñate's 130 soldiers are ambushed by a reported 1,500 native warriors. The Escanjaques have hidden themselves in a boulder-filled gully, and now they leap out to release a barrage of arrows, before retreating again and again. In spite of their numbers, the Escanjaques are no match for Oñate's muskets.
Let's get it.
The Spanish had visited, and he said the name of it was Etzanoa.
Etzanoa.
Though many archaeologists dreamed that the Miguel map could lead them to Etzanoa, for decades it refused to correlate with any known topography. Then, a professor at the University of Oklahoma, Dr. Susan Vahig, had a revelation.
On the map, there are circles that represent settlements connected by lines that represent rivers and roads. So it should have been a simple matter to match the map to existing sites and topography, but that didn't happen at first. Miguel, the Native American who drew the map, depicted his territory accurately, but with east at the top. Then his Spanish interrogators asked for more information. To fit this on the page, he tilted the orientation halfway through. So the Miguel map has two orientations. Left is north at the top of the page, but it is south at the bottom of the page. When Susan Vahig reoriented the map, it became easier to match it to the landscape and to the locations of known sites.
With this new shape in hand, Dr. Blakesley realized that the features Miguel described do line up with a known region. And so he and his team head south, to a place where two rivers meet, near the border with Oklahoma. This is Arkansas City. And yes, that's how they say it. Arkansas City, or Ark City as it's often
Kansas City, Arkansas, come on.
called, is a quintessential American town. It's home to some 12,000 people, families, farmers, and friendly folk who tend to know their neighbors.
For Dr. Blakesley, this is a huge dig for him because this is his pinnacle. He's, I found this stuff and I'm tying it together. And so by proving that we can find stuff from here, from his expedition, we can prove that this was the city he found.
It may be the largest Indian archaeological site in the U.S. and Canada. It's a pretty big deal.
Identifying Etzanoa as being at Arkansas City completely revises the archaeological record.
On the first morning, Dr. Blakesley and volunteer coordinator Meredith Mahoney organize a team of local volunteers to perform what's called a pedestrian transect survey.
Walk forward slowly, flag what you see.
By covering the field step by step, participants can identify any concentrations of artifacts on the surface. Whenever a possible target is spotted, a flag is planted. Across the river, Steve and his team prepare to run a magnetometer survey.
Magnetometers are very, very sensitive devices that are kind of like a compass needle. All they're doing is recording the Earth's magnetic field at a particular place.
If Dr. Blakesley is right, and this is actually part of the great settlement of Etzanoa, and if the people of Etzanoa actually built houses here, then we would expect the magnetometers to come up with evidence of that in the images that they generate. Results like that could revolutionize our understanding of what actually happened here 400 years ago.
We know the battle was in the southern part of Etzanoa, which is where we're sitting right now, and that the Indians took cover behind a rock outcropping next to a creek that ran down to the river. Well, the creek sitting right over here in the ravine that has huge rock outcroppings on both sides of it, sits right over here on the southern part of my property. And Dr. Blakesley said, I'm virtually certain that's where the battle took place.
Dr. Blakesley's conviction has substantial evidence to support it. In fact, on a visit here 4 weeks earlier, he may have uncovered the first ever artifact from the Oñate expedition, although it wasn't Dr. Blakesley who found it.
So we brought metal detectors and started searching and found lots of historic trash. This was a favorite picnic ground, bottle caps, you name it. And finally, I noticed that Adam Ziegler, the grandson of the woman who lives here, he'd been with us the whole time and was avidly interested. And so I said, why don't you take my metal detector?
So my name's Adam Ziegler, and I'm from Lawrence, Kansas. I go to Free State High School. Dr. Blakesley said you can look around. So I did and found a lot of trash and like pop tabs and nails and stuff. But then there's a sound that I just hadn't heard that sound ever. This is more of a high-pitched, sharp beep. So I knew it was something different. I found it right at the base of this tree. And then I put a circle of rope around it just so...
So you found it right here?
Yep. This is where it happened.
He got a target, and he pulled up, he said, well, it's a ball. So this is our first, for the whole state of Kansas, the first Oñate-related artifact.
It was basically a shotgun load for a cannon. The historical term is canister shot. And it's basically a can or canister that's filled with some sort of small object that can do devastating damage to personnel.
In a field across the gully from Hap McLeod's property, volunteers and team members fan out, metal detectors in hand, hoping to discover further evidence of the battle with the Escanhaques. As with most surveys, whenever a detector chirps, a flag is planted. Usually, as the flags are placed, they form an indistinct mass of flickering orange. But back at the site of the walking transect survey, something remarkable is happening. The volunteers have identified an area of tremendous concentration. Whereas other parts of the field have few artifacts of any kind, here in this circle they find dozens of flakes and chipped bits of colored rock, evidence of stone tools used by the native people. This inexperienced group of local volunteers may well have discovered a key focal point of this prehistoric site. As the week draws to a close, Steve shows Dr. Blakesley some of the early results from the magnetometer surveys.
But you'll notice, and you can see some things, some of this is modern, this 2-track.
But these are,
that
looks awfully nice, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So a cluster of houses there.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a really high potential for features out there.
Yeah.
While these printouts may not look like much to the casual eye, the dark patches and blotches are extremely unusual, and Dr. Blakesley brims with excitement. The first unofficial results of the magnetometer survey tell us that there were houses here. But then, the metal detection team hits pay dirt.
Rick, come in. You're going to like this. We have 2 more items, the last 2 things we needed to find. A lead ball is no longer a ball. It interacted with something really solid, and it's flattened out. But we were expecting to find lead, and here some is. So this is one.
Okay.
Let me seal it back up so I don't lose it. What we didn't expect to find the first time, but we're ready for the second time. Another iron ball.
Oh, yeah, I recognize that.
And you see immediately the faceting on it.
Sure, that looks just like the other one.
So we have 3 so far, which really pins it down. You can search and you might find 3 lead balls and go, well, that's just 19th century stuff. But there were no other battles fought in this area where anti-personnel cannon loads would have been used. So this is it.
Don, it's just what you were saying.
I can't imagine another explanation.
Other explanations will undoubtedly be debated in the months to come, but for now, the evidence suggests that these iron balls were launched from Spanish cannons more than 400 years ago. The battle happened here.
Sometimes in the sciences you have what's called a paradigm change.
We're talking the battles, man. The battles, that formed the whole probability of you disappearing, of you being lost. And, man, again, love to the bro natural, man. Go ahead and get that drop because, I saw some connection with the creek in there. And this was already up on my tabs, man. Back to the Tecumseh. Back to the Creek War, 1813. So we'll be digging on this, man. It's getting realer. It's getting deeper, man. Love to the bro, love to the real ones, man. Y'all keep surfing the wave. And we'll see what we get, man, in the next installment. We getting there. We getting to our mark, man. We getting to our sign. Appreciation, man, to all of the great comments coming in, man. Y'all keep digging on it, man. Y'all keep dropping the drop. And next time we'll go ahead and get to the bottom, man. To the bottom of this Creek War, man. Try to connect this into the Zanoa and so much going down, man. Hey, how to the real ones, man. Y'all keep tuning up, man, and tuning in. And make sure you in the ether, man. We live tonight for Turf Thurs. We live tomorrow for the Shabbat show. It's all happening, man. And it's all happening for you. Shabbat Allah. Wow.